Hello everyone and welcome to Life Simplified. Today I'm going to talk about this book called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a F by Mark Manson. Now let me inform you right up front. It's not just the title of the book which is unconventional, but the book itself is extremely unconventional to be kept in the self-help category. The language and the advice in the book is forthright, honest, and so to the point that sometimes it feels like a slap on the face which might give a jolt of reality to many. The author, Mark Manson, is a star blogger and this is his first self-published book. So without further ado, let's dive into the top 5 learnings that I had from this book along with my honest take about this book at the end of the video. The first important learning that I had from this book is don't try. Today we live in a 24/7 connected world wherein we are bombarded by extremes all the time. You want to watch the most funniest videos ever, want to watch the most embarrassing celebrity moments, the extremes of sporting events, or simply the best places to visit on earth. All this and much more is available right at the click of the button. And this constant and easy exposure to extremes impacts our psychology in a manner that we start imposing the same rules on ourselves. Either I am the best or I am worthless. There is simply no middle path. And that's the kind of psychological trap that we get into. And this is somewhat similar to ego swinging between the extremes of narcissism and worthlessness. To avoid this kind of psychological trap, the author simply suggests don't try. Now don't get this advice wrong. This does not mean that one should give up on the age-old golden rules of working hard and striving for success. But it simply means that instead of striving to become the best copy of someone else, one should try to become a better version of oneself. Moving on to the next learning that I had from this book, that's the clarity on the title of the book itself. The author clarifies that the subtle art of not giving a F does not mean being indifferent to everything, but it simply means being comfortable to be different. Now these are two very different things. The author says that to be able to become a caring, responsible and socially mature individual, it is important that we first learn to become comfortable with ourselves, with who we are, and only then we can become mature individuals. That's the second learning from this book. Moving on to the third learning that I had from this book, which is called the feedback loop from hell. Now the author explains that human mind has cognitive abilities, which means not only that the mind is able to think in abstract terms, it is also able to think and judge its own thoughts. And that can sometimes lead us to trouble. Let's understand this with a simple example. Let's assume you are driving from home to office on a busy workday and you are stuck in a bad traffic jam. Now this getting stuck in a bad traffic jam makes you angry and irritable. Now once you start thinking about your anger, you get worried about your anger issues. The moment you start thinking about your worry, you get even more angry because you are getting worried about something which is not in your control. And this kind of becomes a self-sustaining negative spiral. This is what author refers to as feedback loop from hell. In other words, the author says that the desire to have a positive experience itself is negative, and paradoxically, acceptance of negative experience is itself a positive experience. It's quite profound, but true. The fourth learning that I had from this book was choose your struggles carefully. The author explains that to be able to be indifferent to any adversities, one must care about something bigger, something more meaningful, something more important. Now this again is a very important learning and needs an example to understand better. Let's assume you are driving back home from a long leisurely drive on a Sunday evening and you stop by at a gas station to get a refill in your car. Once at the gas station, you meet a staff there who's extremely rude. And in your irritation and anger, you try to correct him for his rude behavior and get into an argument. Now let's keep this entire situation as it is, but just switch the day from a leisurely Sunday evening to a busy Monday morning when you are in a rush to go to office. Now on this busy Monday morning, your mind is already preoccupied about thoughts of reaching on time to office. And at this point of time, when you go to the gas station, you meet this rude staff there. But this time around, you simply choose to ignore the staff and his behavior because your mind is preoccupied with bigger and more meaningful worries. In other words, when we focus on bigger problems, the smaller, less important issues are taken care of by themselves. The fifth and the final learning that I had from this book is, in your response lies your opportunity. Now, the author explains that in life there might be many situations which are untoward, unexpected, or simply tragic. However, despite the fact that we haven't chosen to be in those situations, our reaction in those situations is also our responsibility. The author goes on to explain that in such scenarios, people generally go on to react to those situations in following of the two manners. One is by having the victim mindset, which leads to self-pity, and second is by completely ignoring the problem or situation as if nothing happened. In the first scenario, self-pity cripples the mind and the person only looks for sympathy from others to soothe himself. In the second scenario, the person fails to take any meaningful action as he has completely ignored the problem. Hence, the author suggests that despite the tragedy or untoward experience, our response is always our choice to a particular situation. Sounds bizarre? Check history. Mahatma Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King, all these great men are great, not because they were faced with a situation which was unique or any less tragic, but it is in their choice of response which makes them so great. So I hope this clarifies the fifth learning from this book. So in a nutshell, this book can make you extremely uncomfortable with its frank and honest approach. But despite that, I will highly recommend this book. Not only the advice given by author is worth lending an ear to, it is extremely practical as well. You will also find yourself relieved from certain self-imposed expectations. Personal anecdotes shared by the author adds credibility to the book. So go on and enjoy The Subtle Art of Not Giving a F by Mark Manson. If you've enjoyed this video, do subscribe to my channel and give this video a big thumbs up. Your comments will help me make my content better. Till we meet next, stay tuned to Life Simplified.